Greetings to the 12 tribes of Israel, scattered, dispersed, but not destroyed. This is your boy Yemi'el being Yahuda, and I'd like to welcome you all to the truth, a part of the Awakening Remnant Coalition Dallas. It is a wonderful Shabbat day, and I'd like to welcome each and every one of you here joining us on the truth. We have been covering for the last few weeks Ecclesiasticus. We've been and now we're in Ecclesiasticus chapter 5. It is a blessing to hear the word of Yah and see how the books of the Apocrypha line up with the what we know as the 66 books of the Bible, or what they would call the dang boy, I'm getting old. What they would basically call the whatever. You know, how it would line up with what we know as the Bible today. It has been a blessing to see how we've gotten how far we have gotten just looking at Yah's word and seeing how it works itself out. See, the thing is, and this is one of the things I've come to learn in my years, is that you really don't have to explain Yah's word. Yah's word speaks for itself. And so when you get to looking into the 66 and you start looking now at the extra canonical books, these extra canonical books, you get to see how the writers of the New or the Bari Hadashah came back and took things out of the Apocrypha books. And it has been a blessing not only to myself, but to all the people that have been in the class. I've gotten several responses on how much these lessons have blessed and touched them. And I can't even lie to you. It has been a learning experience for me, because I was one of those back in the day that didn't want to touch the Apocrypha books. I was afraid of them, especially as a minister in the church. I didn't want to go outside of the 66. I thought they weren't inspired by Yah. And now, as I've gotten older, I'm learning that not only are these books inspired, but they were some of the groundwork for what we have in canon. So as we go forward learning about the canonical books, and we go forward in learning about the Apocrypha books, I want each and every one of you to understand that just because you don't see it or you've never experienced it doesn't mean does not mean that it is not canon. And this is one of the, doesn't mean that it's not inspired. You got to understand, there were some men who one day decided that they were going to compile the books and tell us what was canon and what was not. And the funny thing is, the people that did it don't even look like us. Like they say, they're not like us. They're somebody else. And they have twisted and perverted Yah's truth. And so when we look at canon, now with an open eye, and we look at these extra canonical books, now we're able to say, okay, I can see where that fits. Or I got a better understanding of this now that I've been able to go in and look at what they claim or deem to be canon, what they claim and deem to be canon, and what Yah says is canon. It's been a blessing to me, y'all. I can't even lie to y'all. It has been eye-opening sorry, I'm trying to look up the scriptures for the day. Um, it has been eye-opening to me how Yah has worked this thing out and has said, this is my word, and this speaks about my only begotten son, and y'all gonna have to get on board or get off the boat. So as we get ready for Brother Rod to come, or Brother Yosef to come up and get ready to teach this word, I want everybody to have an open mind and understand that it may not be what you're used to, but we ain't steering you wrong, if that makes sense. It ain't what you used to, but we dang sure ain't leading you astray. We're trying to teach you Yah's word from a different perspective, one that you may not have seen before, but you're getting to learn. Shabbat Shalom, Aki. What's going on, Stefan? Also, those who plan on attending Sukkot with us, please reach out, get in touch with me. I'm at home 24/7. Those that know my number, just reach out, give me a call so we can get everything straightened out, lined up, and get everybody on the same sheet of music so we can all get where we need, so we can all get to the designated place at the designated time so that we can do Yah's work. And I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to spending time with my family, with this branch of my family, and getting to not just hang out, but to share the goodness of Yah's word with y'all. And we're going to be having classes. We're going to be hanging out and just chilling. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff. So hold on. Shabbat Shalom, Mike.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
How's everything going your way?
All is well. All praises to the Most High.
Good, 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 good. Glad to see you here today. Like I was just telling everybody, is it called Purvis State Park?
Purtis, Purtis.
Purtis. I don't know why I was saying Purvis. Maybe, I'm old, my mind ain't good. Y'all, if y'all never been out there, it's not hard to find. All you got to do is Google it. It'll come straight up. It is for it's a nice location. If you're afraid of wildlife, don't come. I'm gonna let you know in advance, y'all. If you're afraid of wildlife, this is not the trip for you to make. Because let me tell you, it's wild and there's life out there. So I'm not trying to be mean. They don't be running around. They thought Yemi said I can't come. Yemi said if you're afraid of wildlife, don't you bring your don't, like my grandma would say, don't bring your tail down here. All that noise, because the life is wild out there, real wild. So yeah, anything you want to add to that?
I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to.
Yeah, we'll be out there from the 16th to the 23rd. I'm going to leave a couple of days because I had something planned, and I had messed around and thought the days were different. So I'm gonna leave on the 20th, or I think the 20th, and I'll be back. I'm gonna leave that weekend, and I'll be back that Monday. I gotta go to DC, and I had already planned it and already spent my money, and I can't get a refund. And due to the fact that there are no refunds being given, I don't need to say nothing else. Shoot. Yeah, like I said, if somebody done already spent money to get me a room too, nah, I can't do them like that. So what's up, Doc? I'm gonna let you have it. If you need me, I'm listening.
Okay. All right, Shabbat Shalom family. We're here again with the ARC DFW. This is Yosef Ben Yisrael. And we're happy to be here today on another Shabbat, a holy Shabbat, a day that has been set aside from creation. The Most High set this day aside from creation as a day of rest. And you all know that in Bereshit or in Genesis that he created the work of creation, the first 6 days, the work of creation, and on the seventh day he rested. And then he reveals to us in Torah that it should be or it shall be a day of rest for us throughout our generations. And we most certainly want to be obedient to him, be obedient to the Most High, obedient to the Father, obedient to the Creator, in remembering the day and keeping it holy. Understand that we do have challenges. We are in the land of our captivity. We're not in captivity, but we are in the land of our captivity. And that, in and of itself, presents itself with some challenges as far as some of our work schedules and things of that sort. And we pray for the grace of the Most High in that situation, but we're not going to make a big deal out of it. We're not going to make a controversy out of it. We're just going to understand that those that love Yahuwah with all their heart, with all their soul, and all their mind are going to find a way to uh, to remember the Sabbath, to Shabbat, and to keep it holy. Not from a legalistic or a legal standpoint, but from a standpoint of love. That the Father loved us enough to set that day apart for us, that we must love him and set our hearts toward that day as a day of rest, as a day of regeneration, as a day to recoup, as a day to rejoice, as a day to join together, even over the various social media platforms, and as possible, excuse me, um, in one another's company. But we are here and we are ready to go. We are in the fifth chapter of uh, Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 5. And we're going to, this is a very short chapter, but we're not going to attempt to go through the whole chapter. I will tell you what we will do. Since it is just 15 verses, we're going to read the entire uh, that chapter 5. We're going to read. We're not going to attempt to go through the whole chapter, but we're going to read the entire chapter together, and then and then I will lead us through this, and we'll just ask the Ruach to give us wisdom as to how far to proceed or when to stop. So Sirach chapter 5 or Ecclesiasticus chapter 5, verse 1 reads as follows. Set thy heart upon thy goods and say not, I have enough for my life. Follow not thine own mind and thy strength to walk in the ways of thy heart. And say not, who shall control me for my works? For Yahweh will surely revenge thy pride. Say not, I have sinned, and what harm hath happened unto me? For Yahweh is long suffering. He will in no wise let thee go. Concerning propitiation, be not without fear to add sin unto sin. And say not, his mercy is great. He will be pacified for the multitude of my sins. For mercy and wrath come from him, and his indignation resteth upon sinners. Verse 7, make no tarrying to turn unto Yahweh, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of Yahweh come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. Set not thine heart upon goods unjustly gotten, for they shall not profit thee in the day of calamity. Winnow not with every wind, and go not into every way, for so doth the sinner that hath a double tongue. Be steadfast in thy understanding, and let thy words be the same. Be swift to hear, and let thy life be sincere, and with patience give answer. If thou hast understanding, answer thy neighbor. If not, lay thy hand upon thy mouth. Honor and shame is in talk.
He said, shut up.
Honor and shame is in talk, and the tongue of man is his fall. Be not called a whisperer, and lie not in wait with thy tongue. For a foul shame is upon the thief, and an evil condemnation upon the double tongue. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or small. We'll stop right there. That's the end of chapter 5. And that was 15 verses there of chapter 5. I'm going to watch the time because we just may be able to get through this, but I'm not going to make any promises. Sirach chapter 5. Okay, so by way of review, repetition is the mother of learning. And so by way of review, we understand that the book of Sirach was, these were wise sayings gathered by a man named Jesus. He gathered witty sayings, or he gathered wise sayings, I should say. The words of wisdom and wise sayings, he gathered them, wrote them down, kept them together, along with some of his own, and he kept them, passed them on to his son. And his son held on to them and did not do much with them. However, his grandson, who was his namesake, is the one who gathered these writings from his father and had them, had them published, but we'll say this is where the book of Ecclesiasticus comes from. He gathered the sayings, he wrote them down, he collected them, he configured them, and he, by inspiration, again, we're going to say inspiration of the spirit of the Ruach, he took these sayings and he put them in writing. And so this was a third generation. This was a grandson that actually took these writings, remembered the words of his grandfather, remembered the words that were passed from his father to himself, and took the words of wisdom, wrote them down, and here we have the book of Ecclesiasticus. And so we have this there was a generational wealth of knowledge, a generational wealth of wisdom that was passed from from a grandfather down to his grandson. And we also established in the earlier lessons that although these words of wisdom are practical in nature, they're very practical. They're what I call wisdom in these streets. That this wisdom did not originate from this world; they originated from the Father. And we're told in the prologue and the introduction of the book of Sirach that these words of wisdom, that the Father in creation, wisdom was with him in creation. and he poured out wisdom upon his creation, and he used wisdom to establish. Wisdom is the creation, and all that exists is established upon these 7 pillars of wisdom. And so we must remember that even though we are addressing, uh, 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 I guess you could say, earthly issues, we're dealing with relationships, we're dealing with the thought processes and thought life, we're dealing with how to do business, we're dealing with commerce, we're dealing with employees and employers, or masters and servants, we're dealing with family relationships, wisdom in family relationships. We must remember that these principles and precepts of wisdom originated there from the beginning. And so we take these words and we read these words and we study these words, and we're going through these words together because, number one, we must walk in wisdom. We must walk in this world. We must walk in wisdom as we travel, as our ancestors used to say, those that have gone before us, we are just pilgrims passing through. And yes, we're passing through, and this world is not our home. But as we move in the earth space, as we move in the earth realm, we want to walk in wisdom. And Ecclesiasticus is a book that is instrumental in helping us walk in wisdom, helping us process information uh, in wisdom, helping us guard our tongues in wisdom, helping us to guard our hearts in wisdom. And so we want to share that with you by way of introduction, by way of reintroduction, that this is not just a collection of uh, 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 worldly wisdom, but this is eternal wisdom. We can take these words that we're reading, we can take these words that are being taught or being proclaimed, and they'll work anywhere. It's like gold, you know. There's some places that the dollar bill is no good. There's some places that our currency is no good, but we understand that wisdom is like gold. It's good anywhere. It'll work anywhere. It'll work at home. It'll work in at work. It'll work when we're out at play. It'll work in our family life. It'll work in our uh, relationship with our friends. It'll work in relationship with our families. It'll work anywhere. When we walk in wisdom, as we're walking, we're good as gold when we're walking as wisdom. And so he starts out here in chapter 5. He says, set thy heart upon thy goods and say not that I have enough for my life. He's telling us, be mindful of the things that the Father blesses us with. We want to be mindful. We want to take care of the blessings that we receive from the Father. We want to be good stewards of all that the Father has blessed us with. With the goods of this world, whether it be the wealth or the finances or the material things. He says, set your mind on them. Take care of what I give you. Be a good steward of what I give you or what I provide for you, but don't get arrogant. Don't have an attitude of arrogance or even dependence on the things that we receive from the Most High. You know, he said, I've got this house, I've got land, I've got all of this, I've got enough. I'm good. He said, no, you don't base that I'm good upon the things that you possess. Because anything that we can lay our hands on, or anything that our eyes can see, or in some cases, it's just information that we've heard. We can call the bank, and the bank will, y'all know how we call the bank and check our balance, or we go to the, or we can go online and check our balance, or we can listen to our stockbroker. Our stockbroker tell us, well, you got this much in this account, that much in that account. He says, pay attention to it, be good stewards of it, but don't set your heart on it. Okay? He says, follow not thine own mind and thy strength to walk in the ways of thy heart. Now, listen, y'all. They've got a new buzzword. They're using a new buzzword, a new sayings in the world today, talking about your truth and my truth. Says, no, you don't. I don't have a truth. You don't have a truth. We don't have our own truth. And we can't follow that. Or we are encouraged. We are encouraged by some well-meaning people, just giving advice, talking about follow your heart. You ever heard that before? Follow your heart. If your heart or if your mind tells you something, just follow that. Sirach says, don't do that. Don't rely on that. Don't allow your intuition. This is especially true, and it especially true with intuition or gut feeling, or I just listen to my heart, or I bet on myself, and all of these types of things. He says, listen, don't rest in that. Don't rely on that. Don't set that as your strength, and don't walk that way. Proverbs chapter 3, one of my favorite verses. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 3 through 5. Trust in the Lord, trust in Yahweh with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. Doesn't that sound like this? In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. So yes, we are good. We want to be good stewards of what Father gives us. We want to think for ourselves. We want to think. Scripture tells us to prove all things. Think on these things. But don't rely. We cannot rely on our own thoughts, on our own emotions, on our own intentions, on our own assumptions. Some of us, we make assumptions based on the knowledge that we have. He says, listen, don't rely on that. And don't walk in that. Acknowledge Yahuwah. Follow Yahuwah. Pray. Make supplication. Ask for wisdom. Not personal wisdom, but ask for the wisdom that comes from Yah when we make decisions in life. Okay? Some of us have gotten ourselves in a world of trouble. Listen to ourselves. He says, don't do it. Verse 3, and say not, who shall control me for my works? For Yahweh will surely revenge thy pride. The scriptures also tells us, Proverbs tells us that in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. That we cannot put ourselves in a position to say to ourselves, again, I'm going to follow my heart. I'm going to follow my own understanding. I'm not going to depend on anybody. I'm not going to trust anybody. I'm going to follow my own counsel. That's a fool, just in case you didn't know. Who shall control me for my works? That we need each other. We need one another. You know why we need one another? Because each of us has those of us who are walking in wisdom and those of us who are controlled by the Ruach, we have an ability, a viewpoint or a vantage point that the other person does not have. The Bible tells us, the scripture tells us that iron sharpens iron. The scriptures tell us that love is the bond of perfection. The scriptures teach us that uh, we know in part and we understand in part. That goes for whether we're talking about the scriptures or whether we're talking about how to progress in life. We need one another. And this is what he's saying. He says, who shall control me from my works? This is a person who has an arrogant attitude and they are a know-it-all. Can't tell them nothing. He says that Yahweh will surely revenge your pride. Meaning that the person who walks in pride, the person who walks in arrogance, can't teach you nothing, can't tell you nothing. We get offended when people when they see us veering off the path and they try to correct, offer a course correction or redirect. We get upset. He says the Father is going to expose you. The Father is going to let you keep going your own way, not listening to anyone, to the younger, not paying attention to the elders, to the spouses, the husband, not paying attention to the wife not respecting or paying attention to the husband, the children not obeying the parents provoking their children to wrath. Listen, he says the Father is going to revenge your pride, meaning that the Father is going to allow you to fall into a ditch because of your own pride and willfulness. Verse 4, those of us coming out of Christianity, this should be, these scriptures, these next few scriptures should be screaming at us, because this is a mindset of many Christians. Verse 4, say not I have sinned, and what harm hath happened to me? For Yahweh is long suffering, and he will in no wise let thee go. Those of us coming out of Christianity and those of us who are connected to Christians, we lean heavy on grace and mercy, grace and mercy, grace and mercy. Too heavily. And we walk around here with the attitude, well, I've fallen, or I'm gonna fall, or I'm gonna slip, I'm gonna fall, but the Father is gonna forgive me. I know he's gonna forgive me, he's gonna restore me. He says, don't walk in that. Don't rest in that attitude. Or, you can't judge me because all have sinned and touch not mine anointed and blah, 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 blah. Says the Father is going to deal with us when we sin willfully, presuming or presuming on the grace of Yah. The scriptures tell us in Hebrews that if we sin willfully, there is no sacrifice for that sin. The blood does not cover willful sin. I pause right there on purpose. I got it. I got to go there. I got to go there. Excuse me. Y'all give me just a second. I've got to go there. I believe it's Hebrews chapter 6, if I'm not mistaken. But you all bear with me just a second. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. There we go. I'm sorry. It's not chapter 6. It's chapter 10. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26. Real quick, write it down. Write it down. Because, again, this is what he's talking about here in chapter 5, verse 4. Verses 4, 5, and 6 is basically it's hand in glove with Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26 says, for if we sin willfully, After that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sin. So Sirach, remember, this wisdom is eternal. This wisdom is not. This wisdom is not. Yah's wisdom is not bound by time. It's not bound by circumstance. It's not bound by situation. It's not bound by dispensation. It's not bound in the Old or the New Testament. This wisdom is eternal. And so we see Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26 screaming at us out of Sirach chapter 5, verse 4. Do not say I have sinned and what harm had happened unto me, for Yah is long suffering and he will in no wise let thee go. Concerning propitiation or the covering for sin, be not without fear to add sin unto sin. Be afraid of it. When we find ourselves adding sin unto sin, it's just like telling a lie. You tell one lie, you got to tell another lie to cover that lie, then you got to tell another lie, then you got to tell another lie, then you have to tell another lie, and then you got to remember all the lies that you told. He says, be not without fear to add sin unto sin. And verse 6, say not his mercy is great. He will be pacified for the multitude of my sins. For mercy and wrath come from him. Listen, mercy and wrath come from the same source. We cannot presume upon the grace and the mercy of the Most, or we dare not presume upon the mercy of the Most High. Take him for granted. Says, don't do that. Don't play in my face. I'm kind of speaking for him. Y'all quit playing in my face and call yourself falling and slipping into sin, and you knew what you were gonna do before you did it. You already had a plan. You had a schedule. You had a plan. You had it all set out, and then you gonna come back and get on your knees and get on your face and ask me for forgiveness. Sirach said, "Don't play in his face." That's my. I'm that's not what he's saying. He's saying that I'm just saying what he's saying in a different way, in a more up-to-date way. Don't play in God's face when it comes to sin. When it comes to making allowances for sin in our lives, we better be careful how we dealing with the Most High. He says, because wrath and mercy comes from him. We can't get caught up in this doctrine of demons where in the doctrine of demons where, oh, well, all I got to do is ask for forgiveness and he'll forgive me. He says, no, I'll forgive you sometime, but then sometimes you're going to catch these hands. You're going to catch some wrath. You're going to get yourself into some situations that I'm not going to deliver you from. You all remember King David when he sinned with Bathsheba, and then he had her husband assassinated, or had her husband Uriah David had Uriah killed, had him sent to the front line of the battle so he could be killed so that David could have Bathsheba. And the father told David, as a result of this, the sword will never leave your house. I'm going to forgive you. I'm not going to fire you from being king like I fired Saul. You're going to keep the throne. You're going to keep your position. But I tell you what, the sword should never leave your house. That's part and parcel of why Absalom rebelled against him and tried to overthrow. Absalom, his own son, tried to stage a coup to overthrow his own father and had his father on the run. And I say all that to say this. We can get ourselves in situations that we can't get out of when we play in God's face and presume upon his grace, upon his mercy. For mercy and wrath come from him in verse 6, the last part of verse 6. And his indignation rested upon sinners. Do you all not know that the indignation of the Most High rested upon David? What David did, and we just use him as an example, but all of us have experienced in our lives where we've done some things. We have presumed upon the grace of the Most High. We've gone our own way and did our own little plan, our own little program. And right today, we're in trouble. A lot of us are in trouble, in some area of our lives right today. At the advanced stages of life that we're at, we can pinpoint it back to the decisions that we made. And the Father's forgiven us. He's restored us, but we still got to deal with that. We have to deal with the aftermath. We have to deal with the consequences. We have to deal with the fallout. And he's not erasing that. And his indignation concerning that particular circumstance is resting upon us right today. I love you. He said, I love you. You know, I love you. I restored you, but I'm still hot about what you did. And so I'm not removing the consequence. I'm not removing that mess. I'm not removing that pressure. I'm not removing that shame. I'm not removing that consequence. I'm not going to remove it. My indignation is going to rest. I'm just going to sit right there. Verse 7, make no tarrying to turn to Yah, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of Yah come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed. In thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. This is what he's saying here in verse 7. He says, listen, do not tarry, or do not delay, or do not procrastinate to turn to the Most High. When you open your eyes in the morning, our first thought should be, thank you, Yah, for blessing me with another day. Thank you, Yah, for the activity of my limbs. And that means I'm turning to him right away. I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting to noon. I'm not waiting to breakfast. I'm not waiting until I brush my teeth. I'm running to him. Every day, we're chasing after him. This is how we stay out of trouble, y'all. This is how we stay on the path. We're seeking him every day, and we're not procrastinating in our seeking of him. We're not delaying. I'm not going to wait to breakfast, saying grace at breakfast before I turn. No, he says, from day to day, my first thought as a child of the Most High, I'm seeking him. And why do that? He says, for suddenly shall the wrath of Yah come forth. He says, listen, the wrath of Yah, or the anger of Yah, comes very quickly. How many of you all had parents that had, they were quick with it? You know, y'all excuse me. I never shall forget the last whipping I got. I was maybe 16, maybe 17 years old. And y'all know how we are then. And so my mom had asked me to do something. She was asking me to do something, and she got on my nerve. And I didn't respond. I didn't respond the way I should have responded. I didn't say, she had said something in my response. I didn't say damn. In my heart, I was saying damn, but I said something like dang, D-A-N-G. And y'all know how them old school parents were. You couldn't even say the word that was close to the word. Like we couldn't say fool. There was some words that would get your mouth, your lip busted. Fool would get your lip busted. I'm talking about those of us are maybe 45 and older. Fool would get your lip busted. Funky would get your lip busted. Dang or darn would get your knot on your head. And so that's what I did. Um, I said I was upset by her request, and I said, dang. But listen, before I even got the N and the G out of my mouth, all of a sudden I'm bent over with my hand over my eye. I never saw a hand. I never saw the hand that hit me. Between the D and the A, between the DA and the NG, my mom, and she was saved for real too, y'all, but she had them hands. They was quick. I never saw a hand. All I saw was my hand over my eye, and I'm bent over halfway, hoping, looking for my eyeball on the floor. But I just knew she had put my eye out. She hit me so hard, hit me so quick. I'm bent over, looking at the ground. That's how quick. Now I'm gonna say this: the Most High is quicker than that. That's why we can't presume upon His grace. That's why we must. That's why we must endeavor to run to Him in prayer. Run to Him in meditation. Run to Him seeking His word. Run to Him seeking His presence. Run to Him seeking His peace. Because His wrath is sudden. And we think we're safe. We're presuming, and this is a person that's presuming on the grace and the mercy of God. They think, they think they're safe. And He says that wrath will come suddenly, and in your security, you'll be destroyed. And destroyed, listen, beloved. Destroyed doesn't necessarily mean dead, dying or perishing. Destroyed means destroyed could be life just falling apart. I don't know about any of you, but I've been in some situations where life fell apart just that fast. I was leaning on my own understanding. I was walking in my own wisdom, and just that quick, life just fell apart. The floor fell out beneath me. And I didn't know whether I was coming or going. I didn't know up from down. I didn't know east from west. I didn't know north from south. I didn't know nothing. Just everything is just family, just family, just family situation. All the peace and everything that we just disintegrated just that fast. Just poof. There is no security apart from Yah. He says, "Thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance." Okay? And so we want to be very careful. This is important. Matter of fact, this is probably the most important statement that's coming this afternoon. We've got to follow Him. We've got to run after Him. We've got to seek Him with all of our heart and all of our soul, because we don't want to our life to be destroyed or decimated or set at naught, and we don't want to perish in the day of vengeance. Verse 8, set not thine heart upon goods unjustly gotten, for they shall not profit thee in the day of calamity. We want to be careful how we acquire We want to be careful how we gain. We ought to be the last people to shuck and jive, to steal and to pilfer, to cheat, to gain, to lie, steal, what they say, beg, borrow, and steal, or cheat, or cut corners, or take shortcuts, or be engaged in various schemes in order to gain. Because the Father is telling us through Sirach, those gains that we got, unjust gains or ungodly gains, those things will not do us any good in the day of trouble. We want to be honest. We want to be people of integrity. We want to be upright. Those of us who are engaged in business and commerce, we want to be on the up and up in our contracts and the covenants and the contracts that we make. Those of us that are employees, we want to 8 hours pay, 8 hours work for 8 hours pay, or 10 hours or 12 hours or whatever it is. And we don't want to be cheating and stealing time and y'all know how we do sometimes, stealing time. What's the other term they use? I forget the other term. Laying on the clock and all this type of stuff, because any of those games, they're not going to do us any good. Verse 9, winnow not with every wind, and go not into every way, for so doth the sinner that hath a double tongue. Don't be ignorant. And I'm going to say this because I'm not directing this. I'm going to say it this way because I'm not directing it at any person. Don't be stupid. The scriptures tell us, prove all things. Don't just believe something because somebody said it. This is what he's saying about winnow not with every wind. That means that listen, we can't just go with every wind and every doctrine. We can't just follow anybody. We can't just take people at their word. The scriptures tell us about the Bereans. When Paul went before the Bereans, I believe it there in the New Testament, that the Apostle Paul would come to them and he would teach them the word, he would preach the word to them, and they would excuse me, they would search the scriptures to see that those things were so. They weren't going to take him for his word. And he says the Bereans, he used the Bereans as an example. He says, for the Bereans were noble. They were more noble because they received the word and then they searched the scriptures to see that those things were so. And this is why our churches and our religious institutions, organizations, and our people are in such a bad way today, because we'll go somewhere and if the Negro can preach, or if he got a good hoop, or if he or she is very persuasive, or if they got a way with words, we'll go and we'll throw our money. I'm saying it. We'll throw our money on the stage. He'll sit up there and say, "Well, it's 832, so I want you to give me 830. I got 8 people that can give me $832. Then I've got 10 people that can give me $83.20. And then if you can't give $83.20, you can give $8.32. But I want you to do it right now. And we'll do it. Just winnow with any wind because it sounds good."
Hey,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Giving $1,000 offering tonight. I have a feeling if you have $1,000 to give, stand over here.
Yeah.
If that's where you make your money at, when you doing revivals. That's
Yeah.
money. I feel the Lord telling me that somebody has a $5 seed, or $500 seed offering that they want to sow into me, not
Yeah.
into me.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Because that money you throw on that stage, that go to him or her. They ain't gonna feed nobody. I was reading a book about a young lady who was a part of her father's ministry, and at least he was honest. He got up before the people and said he needed uh, a certain number of people to give a certain amount of money so he could get the blades replaced on his helicopter. He had a helicopter. He had 4 locations. At 4 locations, in order to get to those 4 locations on Sunday, he had a helicopter, and so his helicopter, the blades on the helicopter had become worn. So he went before the people and told them, "Hey, I need y'all to give me, whatever, so I can replace the blades on my helicopter." And they did it. That goes on every day. The Father says through Sirach, "Don't follow after that foolishness. Don't go into every way, for so does the sinner that hath the double tongue." Sinners do that. Unbelievers do that. They hear something and they just go with it because somebody said it. They just believe it. They just go after it because it sounds good. Verse 10, be steadfast in thy understanding, and let thy word be the same. Be steadfast in thy understanding. So when we're dealing one with another, or when we're dealing with knowledge and dealing with information, he says, listen, know what you're doing. This is where it says prove all things. None of us know everything, but all of us can gather information, can do our own research. As Malaka say this all the time. He says this all the time. Don't believe nothing I say. Do your own research. So Sirach is saying, be steadfast in your understanding. Don't participate in anything that you don't have understanding of. If someone is explaining something to you, or you are contemplating going to a certain in a direction, number one, you ask the Most High for wisdom. Number two, you gain as much information as you can. Do your own research. Be steadfast in your understanding. Don't be ignorant in your understanding. He says, let thy word be the same. Listen, double tongue. You say one thing to somebody and you say something else to somebody else. That double tongue, that forked tongue. He says, don't do that. He says, let your word be the same. Let your yes be yes. Let your no be no. And I'm gonna throw this in here too, because a lot of us get caught up in this. Don't say anything about someone that you have not said to them. That'll cut out a whole that'll cut out a whole bunch of this two-faced, double tongue, backbiting.
You can start the preaching right there.
That'll cut out all controversy. That'll cut not all of it, but that'll cut out 90% of our problem in our interpersonal relationships. Do not say anything about someone that you have not already said to their face, that you have not already, you know, don't do it. Let your word be the same. Verse 11, be swift to hear. Now this is free. I ought to get I ought to ask for an offering right now. Be swift to hear. Even people that we disagree with. Listen. Let's not be so quick to call people a fool and a liar and stupid and no. He says, be swift to hear. Even if they lying, be swift to hear the lie. Because again, if we're swift to hear, if that person's a liar or that person is dishonest, they're going to tell on themselves with their own words. So you won't have to say, you a liar. You'll be able to say, well, when we started the conversation, you said this. And then yesterday you said that. And this don't match with that. Something is wrong, my brother. And you got to that, you came to that conclusion, not because you, and not because me and my own mind, oh, that fool lying. He crazy. No, because what he said, he's double tongued. And a double tongued, a double minded person is unstable in all their ways. What they say is not going to match what they do. What they do is not going to match what they say. And they're going to contradict themselves in the same conversation. If we are swift to hear, we will hear the contradiction. We will hear the conflict if we are swift to hear. And that'll spin anywhere. Whether you listen to me or whether you listen to anybody, if we just practice the discipline, be like you said earlier, put your hand over your mouth and be swift to hear. Be eager to hear the person, whether you agree with them or not. The best favor, the greatest favor you can do for yourself and for your and for being a wise child of the kingdom or a wise child of Yah is to be swift to hear. And let thy life be sincere. I don't like to use Greek, but I remember and I recall this from days of preaching. Sincera, meaning without wax. And so what that meant was back in the day in the Greek culture, uh, they would make in making making vases, and sometimes the vase would have an imperfection in it or had a crack in it. And so what they would do to hide the crack is they would put wax in the crack or in the crevice. That sincera is like a wax. They would fill the crevice or the crack with wax and they would paint over it. But the thing about it is, if you would hold the vase up to, if you were getting ready to buy the vase, if you would hold it up to the light, or you would hold the vase up to the light, you could see the light would come through that crack or that crevice because it wasn't solid. It wasn't clay, it was wax. And you could see the crevices. And this is what he's saying about our lives. We want our lives to be sincere. We want to live our lives in such a way that we're not covering up anything. We're not trying to fill in the crevices or the cracks of our lives with a lie. Or hide the defect. Let your life be sincere. Be honest. Be earnest. Be faithful. Be true. Be loving. Don't be double tongued. Don't be double minded. Don't be a backbiter. Don't don't fake and shake. Own it. When we mess up, listen, we can be righteous. Again, we can be righteous even when we're wrong. If we just own up and confess from jump. Just let your life be sincere and with patience give an answer. He said, now remember at the beginning, he says, be swift to hear. But he says, when it comes time to give an answer, or when it comes time to reply, take your time. Especially when we're dealing with one another, whether it be a counsel or whether it be advice or whether it be conversation. He says, listen, do yourself a favor and be patient with your answer. I've got some folk in my family. Um, and my people that are close to me know this. I don't, and this drives my family crazy. I don't answer right away. I'm not, I'm not, I'm not quick to give an answer or give a reply. Because number one, while the person is speaking with me, I'm praying. I don't know about y'all, but if somebody is speaking to me, especially if they're asking me a question or they're seeking wisdom, they come to me to seek wisdom. You're not gonna get mine, because what you talking to me, I'm praying and asking the Most High, what's my response? I'm asking Him what my response is. And I'm not bragging on myself. I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant. And I have, and I'm gonna share this with y'all, and Yemi know what I'm talking about. Yemi is not congenital. My hearing loss was congenital. So mine was from birth. And so what happened with me is I had developed uh, over the years really um, a inability or a communication was a challenge for me because I can only hear, and this is by the grace of the Most High. I'm sane, or have any kind of understanding or knowledge. It's by the grace of the Most High, y'all. Because with congenital hearing loss, I was only hearing at best 50% of what a person was saying to me, unless we were sitting in a room one on one. I'm okay. But if we're in a classroom or there's any kind of background noise, I'd be having a conversation. I'm only hearing 50% of what the person's saying. I've got a point with this story. And so what happened was I had an issue with communication. And so a lot of times I would be this was a what they call a survival skill that I would withdraw from. I would withdraw from conversation. I would withdraw from social settings. Or I would make sure my wife was with me because she would be my ears. She was my ears. She was my ears. So and so uh, I say that to say this. um, I had to be, but what it did give me, it gave me patience. Where a lot of times, I would be. It would seem like and I know some folk, and you think I was retarded because again, I heard 50% of what you said, and then my response would be delayed. But that, in a way, it was a negative but it was also a positive in the sense that I had to uh, be patient with an answer. I had to piece together what the person, I had to go back over what the person said, take the 50% of what I heard and string together what I believe they said. So, but all of that, I say all that, I had to be patient in my answer. If you have understanding, answer your neighbor. Verse 12. If not, lay thy hand upon thy mouth. If you don't know, if someone's asking you a question or someone is asking for your opinion and you don't know, just say you don't know. I don't know. I have to research that, and I'll get back with you. Now, if you have understanding, or if you have experience, or you have something wise to say, or you have an answer, answer them. But if not, put your hand over your mouth. Because honor and shame, both honor and shame is in talk, and the tongue of a man is his fault. The scriptures tell us in the New Testament, in James says, and listen, this again, this is all tied together. It says, be not many teachers, for we shall receive the greater condemnation. That has nothing to do with rebuke from the Most High. It has nothing to do with falling into sin. What it has to do with is when you stand before a congregation or you stand before a group of people and you are teaching or you are instructing, you are going to be judged by what you say. You're going to be judged by how you say it. You're going to be judged on the slip of the tongue. You're going to be judged more harshly than the people that are listening to you are going to judge you very harshly, very severely on what you say, how you say it, how long it took, whether you, I mean, you're going to be judged. You're going to be pointed out. The finger is going to be pointed. Oh, he should have said it this way. He should have said it that way. Listen, we need to understand that honor and shame is in talk. It's a two-edged sword. That when we get to talking, it's a two-edged sword. Honor comes with it, and shame comes with it. It's a two-edged sword. It's cut both ways. You're going to receive honor, you're going to receive shame or blame. And that's why the scriptures tell us, especially James says, be slow to speak, be swift to hear, slow to speak. Sirach just finished saying the same thing. Because honor and shame is in talk. And many times, if we keep talking long enough, we're going to slip, we're going to fall somewhere. Especially if we're lying, if we're not being sincere, if we're not knowledgeable about what we're saying, if we're not, if we haven't been trained and taught, and we haven't humbled ourselves before the Most High, and we don't have a grasp of the knowledge. We talk long enough, we're going to fall. Be not called a whisperer. Verse 14. We are going to make it through this. Be not called a whisperer, and lie not in wait with thy tongue, for a foul shame is upon the thief, and an evil condemnation upon the double tongue. Again, he says, a foul shame. See, because what we do is when we whisper or when we talk about people, you know what we steal from them? We steal honor from that person. Look at it. Look at him. Think he's somebody. Look at him. He blah 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 blah. Look, listen. Look at her. She thinks she. And what we're stealing when we engage in that type of conversation, we are stealing from that person. And we whisper about that person. And we human nature. If we backbiting somebody and we're whispering about somebody, that word that we're whispering holds more weight with the person that we whisper to, because that person that we're whispering about could be on the up and up. They could have made an honest mistake. It could have just been misunderstood. It could have just been a slip of the tongue. That person, oh, look, she's stuck up. No, she's just shy. She might be shy. Might be an introvert. Might have something on her mind. Might just have lost a loved one. Might be wrestling with a problem and not able to smile at that particular time, and not really even able to hear what someone is saying to them. But they look and they might have a certain expression on their face, and we walk up to them and we say, "Oh, so and so is stuck up. So and so is they did it. They this and they that." And we've stolen honor from that person. And he says, Sirach says, a foul shame is the result of that. A foul shame is going to come upon me if I whisper, or I backbite, or I gossip, or I share incorrect information about a person based upon what I think, based upon my opinion. And condemnation upon the double tongue. I want to tell y'all something. I'm gonna share this with you right here based upon what we just read. See, profanity, we've got a messed up idea about profanity. Gossip is profanity. Backbiting is profanity. Slander is profanity. And he says an evil condemnation is going to come upon the double tongue. The one that's the one that grins in my face, but then when they get behind my back, they've got nothing good to say about me. Double tongue. Evil condemnation is coming upon the double tongue. Be not ignorant of anything in a matter great or small. Listen, we must be. He says, don't be ignorant. Don't be ignorant. Be curious. Be willing to learn. Be willing to investigate. Be willing to study. Be ready. Be willing to research. Be willing to just say, well, look, I don't know much about that, but I'll get back with you on that. I'm not able to really get into that conversation, but I want to know something about that. Especially for those of us who are in relationship or in covenant with one another. Yemi'el keep talking about scuba diving. Got me curious. So I'm in the position, and this is practical, y'all. And so I know that he liked to go scuba diving. Y'all excuse me, we had a technical difficulty. I got a little excited, so I'm gonna hold this thing in my hand. We're almost through. Yemi'el is a scuba diver, and he's excited about scuba diving, and so I don't know if I'll ever put the stuff on, but I'm doing some research and investigation because it's important to him. I want to at least know a little something. I might end up. I'm not saying that I won't, but I'm not saying that I will. But he said, don't be ignorant. Listen, as people of the kingdom, don't be ignorant about politics. I'm gonna throw this out here. Don't be ignorant, even about something in politics. And we don't, whether we think that's important or not. But if we're engaging in conversation with folk about certain issues, we do not want to be ignorant. And I use politics because we usually avoid that. In a lot of cases, we'll avoid it. And so as a result, we're not able to have an intelligent conversation with anybody. And the way you can tell a person is not able to have an intelligent conversation is this. If we're talking about politics, and y'all know we have a campaign coming up, presidential campaign, whatever you want to say about that, but it's something that we need to know something about. We need to be abreast of the issues. What are the issues? Not all this. Is she black, or is she this, or is she that, or what he did, or how many such and such he got, and all. No, the issues, the political issues, because this is what people need to be abreast of. The issue. What are the issues? Not the ad hominem attacks. When ad hominem is not the personal attacks, not the personal, not all this personal stuff, but what are the issues? Because Sirach is telling us, don't be ignorant of anything in a matter great or small. We want to be swift to hear, we want to be slow to speak, but when we do speak, we want to speak from a standpoint of knowledge. Let me want to speak from a standpoint of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We're gonna stop right there, Yemi. All praise to the Most High.
All right, all right.
That's Sirach chapter 5.
I want you to touch base on something real quick. So when you were saying that your mama, when you said dang, did she hit you in the ear and that's why and you blaming it on congenital?
No, I'm saying I said what I said. She hit me in the eye. I heard what she said. And so she got on my nerve. And you ain't got no, you're a cop child, you ain't got no such thing as, fix your face. You know what I'm talking about? Fix your face, watch your tone, and if you're mad, you better get glad. Well,
Yeah.
I'm 16, 17 years old. Yeah, I mean, you know how we get. The girls start telling us we cute, we fine, and all that kind of stuff, and we start, we just, we taller than our mom at that time, and got a little bass in our voice, and so we think we somebody, and that's where I was. So, yeah.
Mess around and get your eyes closed and don't.
Almost got my eye put out. I thought my eye was put out. I ain't lying. I thought my eye. I'm bent over. I ain't know whether I was gonna be able to see out that eye, out of my left eye.
I make light of it, but as we grow older, and today, I went out. I was in Lancaster earlier today,
mm-hmm.
and I saw this young girl. She must have been in her early 20s, and her kids were standing right next to her, with none of them moving, and she had a bag over her shoulder. And you know how sometimes it looked like they holding the bag by straps.
Mm-hmm.
It's over their shoulder, but it's like, and when she turned, that woman had a whole belt in her hand. And I said, who you playing with that belt? And them kids looked at me and they were like, us. And boy, I was on the floor. But it goes to show in our community that when we do things properly,
mm-hmm.
when we do things the way we were raised to do,
mm-hmm.
there's a level of control that is unmistakable.
Yeah.
And what we have lost in this. This is why God says, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child. When we cut loose from our responsibilities and we don't use wisdom and we get along, do things that society, you know, pay attention to societal norms, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we lose our generations.
Yeah.
We lose our children.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's good to operate in that throne of wisdom. And
Yeah.
that it corrects those things that are broken.
Yeah.
Operate according to wisdom. And you know, it did my heart joy to see it. And she was like, "Sir, excuse me." I said, "Don't apologize to me." I say, "Because you doing what you're supposed to do as a parent. I want to thank you
Yeah.
because we don't see that no more."
You don't see it.
Them,
Let me read that scripture real quick.
go ahead.
He that spareth his rod, because you know it said Proverbs 13:24. He, and in this case she, he that spareth the rod hateth his son or his child. But he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes.
You done said everything. You know, and this is what we have to get back to doing in our community. We can't allow our enemy to tell us,
Mm-hmm.
them the same people that tell you not beat your child, but will shoot you dead in the street.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all beat your children. What I'm saying is beat your children.
Crack their skull.
Oh, get it. Because I, as a grown man, I hate seeing them dang disrespectful children that be running around there yapping back at their mamas, talking back to grown folks. There was a time when children didn't say nothing.
Mm-mm. Seen and not heard.
Okay, it was hard enough. You go more than two grown folks into the room, it's time for you to exit.
You got to exit.
And when we talk about Sirach's teachings, and we talk about wisdom, and we talk about how things are supposed to operate in our families, we have become more and more like our oppressor.
Yes.
There was a time when you said, "Don't say dang," say freak in my mama's house.
Yeah, that one too. I forgot that one. No, I ain't gonna. No, not.
No, no.
Mm-mm.
And then they gonna tell you exactly what it sounded like you said, and wrap you upside your dang head.
Yeah.
My next door neighbors on both sides of me were white, and they would throw tantrums. My dad be outside, he like, "Come on, you see that? Please try." I I told my daddy, "Don't hit my sister no more." And that Negro looked up in the air and said, "God, I have been waiting for," and he was taking off his rings. That's what killed me.
Mm.
His rings. He said, "God, I have been waiting for this day all his life." I knew at that point I was in trouble.
He's in trouble.
It's a blessing to hear these lessons because it reinforces something. If you got issues with your family, if you got issues with people you work with, if you got issues at all with folks,
Mm-hmm.
learning these lessons by Sirach ought to give you some form of solace to let you know, hey man,
Yeah.
this is how you operate in those situations.
Yeah.
Don't operate like the world. Operate according to Yah's word. And that's where your blessings are going to come.
That's where the blessing come from. Let me throw this in real quick, Yemi, while you're saying that word. Listen, this, paying attention to this word will help you understand who to hang out with and who to avoid. So if someone comes up to you, you at work, and they start talking about somebody else or talking about somebody else's business, that's a red flag to distance yourself from that person.
Exit, stage right.
Exit, stage right, stage left, whichever one is closest. Get away from that person. Remove yourself from that person or those persons. Remove yourself from people who complain about their, sometimes we'll get caught up sometimes, but if they complain about a coworker, if they complain about a supervisor, if they complain about conditions, remove yourself from that person. Because if they'll complain about others, they'll talk about you. They're gonna talk about you.
Okay. They don't mean themselves no good, let alone you.
Right.
Man, you done blessed my heart with this one. I can't even lie to you, Yosef. You done blessed my entire heart with this one because it brings back, this lesson brings back, I won't say childhood memories, but it reinforces life lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, I know it's hard to get along with your parents. Trust me. I was one of them. I was one of them folks that I would push. I knew how far to push, but I would push, and when repercussions came, I'd be looking at them like they did me wrong.
Yeah.
But now, as an adult, I understand the nuance. When you raising kids, or when you dealing with co-workers, or you dealing with people you in the contracts with, that's a whole different beast.
It is.
And you got to level out on something. Man, I don't know who you're talking to. Or, no, we can't do it like this because it ain't right.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to be the light if nobody else is going.
There you go. You say it again. Say it again.
We've got to be the light.
We got to be the light. We've been called to be the light.
We've
been called from our part of our covenant, that Abrahamic covenant, and you're going to be a blessing. You're going to bless them that bless you. They're going to be blessed. The people that bless you are going to be blessed, and you're going to be a blessing to the nations. That's our covenant.
The fact, and there ain't no way around it. You can't circumvent it. You can't change it. You are supposed to be a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
You are supposed to be a light. If somebody has lost their way, one of the things you said last week that really touched me is when you said your supervisor, you weren't looking for it, and the other supervisor said, if you here, I know everything gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Shoot.
That's a blessing.
That's a blessing. That means they know your value. They know your worth. And because of that, they see the light that God's placed in you.
Yeah. And that's how we want to be as a people.
So
we want all, we call ourselves Israel. We call ourselves how do we put it? We are the people.
Yeah, we the people of the book.
We the people of the book. Let's be the people of the book.
Man, boy, I ain't gonna lie, you done stopped the fruit from growing right now around here. You done made me want to get up and shout. Because it's hard for people to understand how important it is to be that light.
Mm-hmm.
To be that to be that, what do they say, to be that shining city on a hill. That means anything is going wrong, if they look that way towards you, they ought to be able to get a direction. That's
Now
why.
we're not talking about we're not talking about kissing nobody's behind.
Oh,
Just like you say, Yemi, we have to have a standard, and so there are times when I'm in a position, and we all in a position where those of us who are employees, there are times when a supervisor will ask us something that's not on the up and up, or they I'm gonna tell you like it, they may come at you the wrong way. And there are times when you have to say, hey, that's we're not doing that. You're not gonna disrespect me. You're not gonna ask me to do something that is immoral, illegal, or unethical. We stand on that. So we're not kissing nobody's behind. No. That's the way man operate. But we have a standard, but at the same time, we also, like Yemi says, we shine, we are the light.
and we'll say what the policy say.
Yeah. I'm not doing that. It ain't safe. I work on slides and belts, and so I'm not. Don't ask me to get on no slide. Don't ask me to get on no belt. Don't ask me to climb on nothing. Don't ask me to lift. I tell them all the time. Don't ask me to lift nothing. You're talking about. I can handle 50, 60, 70 pounds, but that stuff is 72, 75, 100. No, come get this. Come get this. I'm not. No, I'm not.
I'm not doing it.
I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it.
That chemical plant, they had these big conicals that were probably 50, 60 feet tall.
Yeah.
Out of each conical, they had each section had this wire. It was like the grade of a grill that you.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was really fine.
Like mesh?
Yeah, kind of like mesh, but it was thicker. It was stronger.
Okay.
Every so often, when we do a shutdown, they would take all the catalyst out of those, and we would have to go in with wire brushes and vacuums.
Yeah.
And they would let you down on a platform, and it would just go down, and you would go down. And so one time the platform was broke, and my boss told me, "We gonna put a harness on you."
No, we ain't doing that.
And we're gonna lower you down by the harness.
No, sir. And
at 23 years old, I was game for it. I felt like I was like Mission Impossible. Man, I wish he'd asked me that today. Let the mammy down on it. Oh, man, I'm sorry, man. I thank you for blessing us today. I know I needed it. I can't talk for everybody else. I know I needed this. It is a pleasure to hear you teach. It's an honor for me to hear you teach. I know it's been quite a bit you dealing with me these last few months, but mentally I just ain't been in the game. But I want to thank you from the deepest part of my heart for carrying the torch, for allowing y'all to use you to teach and to share his word with the congregation. Because honestly, brother, we need it.
All praises to the Most High.
In that situation where right now, with all the stuff that's going on in the world, with all the stuff that as a nation are going through, we need people that are not just going to listen to y'all's word, but they're going to stand on it and be about it, to come around and to teach his people and to share his word, because y'all, his word is absolute. There ain't no, you can't, You can't shuck it, you can't jive it,
Mm-mm.
and it's gonna hit you in your face either way. So you might as well deal with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it's easy to run, and I'm talking from experience because I'm a runner. I'm probably one of the biggest runners y'all know. I've run from my call. I've run from a lot of stuff. But when this word hits you,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, I mean, it stops you in your tracks. And I thank you, bro. I thank you.
Thank y'all for his word. His power is in his word.
Yes, indeed.
The power is in his word. And we want to stay true and faithful to that.
So next week we're going to chapter 6. I need all the men that are listening to this, Tori, um, Elishai, Stefan. I need y'all to be on y'all's phone, getting in touch with me and Yosef, and the ladies need to get in touch with April to see what y'all are gonna bring.
Okay.
I need to shop. I'm gonna be honest with you. We need to shop daily. It's just too hard to bring a whole bunch of food and hope it stay.
Yeah.
So we buy food each day, put it on ice, and then we cook from there. If that sounds good to you.
That's pretty much how we did it last year.
Yeah.
And
So
we made it. We had to make a few runs, but this time the challenge is we're going to be out there all week. So yeah, we need to make sure we tighten up on our process and on our planning and the process. So yeah, yeah.
I will get with me and I may do a conference call tomorrow. So what I'll probably do is I know Stefan's on here right now. I don't know where Elishai is, but before the games start tomorrow, so around 11, you see how I said that. Before
Yeah.
start tomorrow around 11, I'll give y'all a call and we'll plan everything out. We're gonna plan the meetups. Um, you got to get the passes. I mean, the way we had it last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, they'll stop you at that gate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So make sure they know who all's coming. And I wasn't able to get the RV due to the fact that my blood pressure, my diabetes medicine ate that up. Boy, let me tell you, you know how much diabetes medicine is nowadays?
Uh,
Bruh, let me show you. So I use this, right?
uh-huh.
One box of 3 is $80. Then I have another one that I take once a week.
Uh-huh.
That's $490.
Oh.
Man, not even adding the metformin and all this other mess that I got to take. Shoot, man, you talking about when you said that about falling on hard times and dilemmas, all about me because I'm grateful to y'all that I got it to spend. I mean, I got it, but woo.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I did, so yeah, so I will get with y'all and we'll go over everything, what we're gonna do, what we need, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay. So we're gonna definitely meet
Tomorrow,
On this platform, on the StreamYard,
I'll
or
probably
you're gonna do a Zoom?
I'll probably call y'all FaceTime,
Oh, okay, okay.
and then what we need to do from that point is to get um once we get that straight and we know exactly what we're going to do, then we'll go from there.
Okay.
About that.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, everybody, I want to thank y'all for joining us once again for another weekend installment, another Shabbat Day class. As we get ready to close in prayer, be mindful of how you treat others. Be that light that y'all was talking about. It's so much easier to love on somebody than it is to hate on. It takes too much energy to hate on grown folks. I ain't never figured that one out. It just takes, don't, like what them young kids say, don't be a hater all your life. You know, it's so much easier to give love than it is to show hate. So as we get ready to close in prayer, you got anything else you want to say before we start?
Just want to say again, Shabbat Shalom to the family, and we love you, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Abba Father, we thank you once again for another Shabbat, this day of rest, this day of regeneration, this day of worship, this day of renewal. Y'all, we want to give you honor and praise because this day was not made just for us, but for you. This is your Sabbath day of rest. Y'all, we want to give you honor and praise because you thought enough of us to give us a day to recharge and to reset and to honor you for giving us life. Y'all, we thank you for the word made flesh, our kinsman redeemer, Yeshua HaMashiach, who died for us that we may have a right to the kingdom of heaven, that we may be able to receive our inheritance that was lost. Y'all, we want to tell you thank you for allowing us to wake up and to understand that we are the people of the book. We are the ones that were spoken of in the word, and that there is a standard that we must live by. Abba Father, we thank you for the provision that you have given us in our lives. Yah, we thank you for our homes, our vehicles. We thank you for all those things that you have given us that would make things easier for us. But Yah, we don't say it is by our means, but we give you honor and praise for it. Yah, we ask that you bring increase to our basket and to our store. Yah, we ask that you would allow us to live according to Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14. And Yah, we ask that you would just bless us in that we may be able to do all those things that are pleasing in your sight, and that others may be led to you by the actions that they see us do. Abba Yah, we ask right now that you allow the Ruach to rest in our hearts and in our minds, write your commandments on our hearts and in our minds, that we may understand what is right from wrong and that we act accordingly. Yah, we love you. All these things we ask in your name, and we give you the highest praise by saying hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yah,
Hallelujah.
Yah.
Hallelujah.
All right, Art. Until next week, or until tomorrow for us.
Yeah.
I will talk to you then.
All right. Shabbat Shalom.
Bye, shalom.